Hi, friends. I hope you have heard my first three podcasts on three different topics. Apart from my introduction video, the first one was on the topic I am different and I am not any less. The second one was on the topic benefits of art therapy for autistic children. And the third one was on effective parenting tips for bringing a child on the autism spectrum. Now, I welcome you all to my fourth podcast, and this is a very interesting topic, a topic that is very close to my heart. And I got an opportunity to publish this in a weekly newspaper for the Mother's Day last year. I would like to share a small quote before I give my views on this topic. As an autism mother, I always feel my child is my heart and I am his voice, meaning my child is very close to me and at places where he cannot voice out his opinion. I am there as a shadow or as a mirror of himself to voice out his opinion, his emotions, his needs, what he likes and what he dislikes and how he feels. So I have named this topic as my journey of personal transformation and self discovery. And yes, that is very true. I would like to give a small intro here. When my husband and I realized that we are going to become first time parents and we got the promotion on the personal side, it was extremely overwhelming for us. We were so happy to welcome our little bundle of joy into this world. To be honest, until the age of one, our child seemed fine and normal, and we didn't have any concerns. Once our child started to turn 1 year old, we found out some differences in terms of his gestures. In the sense, he stopped, his response for name calling was, not that good. In the sense, like out of 10 times, if we call out his name, the ratio would just be like for 2 or 3 times, like he would revert or, he would acknowledge what we are saying. And then his eye contact was very poor when I found out or compared him with children of his age group. Then he started to enjoy objects that were spinning, like for example a car wheel or a rotating fan or toys which can be in a circular movement, which was spinning on the floor. So he started to enjoy all these things. But then his speech was there, though he didn't have a proper speech. He at least he was verbal and he could communicate his needs in small, small sentences or using keywords. And in fact, he started calling my husband and myself as Appa and Amma, and then he started addressing his grandparents as Tata, Party, and small, small things in our mother tongue, like food as Mamam and water as Tanni and or Tita and all that. So we felt that, once our child goes to school or something, probably he'll pick up being a single child and he didn't have much of his friends or something to play around. So when our son became 2 years old, we actually enrolled him in a play school near our house. And that's when we realized that there was a lot of changes in our child and there was something different in him. And then when we had taken our child for an assessment to a pediatrician, he was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And this was a moment of shock to me because we were clueless about the treatment and the cure that was available for this. And to be honest, this had a very great impact on our emotional, mental, and physical health. There was a situation where I felt very scared to face the world. So, this refrained me from meeting my very own friends and families, and I preferred to stay indoor and just share my thoughts with my husband and maximum with my parents or my siblings because I felt that if I stepped outside, people would be judgmental about me, would be judgmental about the way I bring up my child, and they would start assessing, like what we are doing and For every step that I take, people are just going to be commenting back. I felt that I was surrounded with too much of negativity, and my mood swings and my pains started to affect my child directly. As time progressed, I realized that this had created a fear wall on him, and even though on areas where he could express, he felt shy, or rather, he was also very scared, thinking that if I say something, I'm going to be shouted by my mother or by my father. And he started creating a wall surrounding himself, and this had an impact on him as well. This had an impact on him also psychologically. Then, after many thought processes, and as years passed by, I gained the courage and the maturity to stand up and defend for my child's actions, which were done both knowingly and unknowingly. I made people understand what is autism all about and why does a child behave like this. And at one point of time, whichever I felt was my struggles in my parenting journey, I turned all the negatives into positives as I had the courage to handle the challenges that or even my daily routines without any fear and confidence. With my positive parenting, this made our child express himself more freely, and slowly the fear within him started to reduce. So I took this as an opportunity and increased his visit to outdoor places such as a play area, park, or beaches, and our child slowly started to explore the outside world and the open spaces, and he started to channelize his energy in a more better manner, and this also started to address his sensory concerns. About sensory concerns, I would have mentioned in my previous podcast. So those who haven't heard about that, I request you to listen to my first three podcasts, and you'll get an idea as to what sensory concerns or challenges of autistic children are. With continuous practice at therapy centers and home, our child started to explore. Our child started to express himself in a more positive way, and this made us celebrate his milestones and achievement. So, a small act or a small um, action done by my son, or any small instruction that we had given my son, and if he had followed that rightly, this was a moment of joy for all of us because we felt that he should be encouraged, he should be recognized for him to express himself more freely with us. We started to understand the treatments and the therapies that was available for our child for improving his health, and on a regular basis these things were also done. In the meantime, we also made our child be independent slowly and helped him eat healthy food, as in we realized that food also plays a major role in our child's development and growth. And in my next podcast, I would like to share about how healthy food supports a child's gut health. So, in more detail, we will talk about that. And I started to avoid all the sugary stuff and the junk, all the packeted food. And this reduced our problem to about 50% because our child was not hyper, and then he started to listen to our instructions, and then eye contact started to improve, and his focus was becoming better. So this was a very positive point for us. We also took this as an opportunity to slowly help our child with his daily grooming, and we taught them simple values like or simple daily chores like how to wash his own plate and wash his own tumbler after eating. And then we helped him in his toileting needs also. We taught him, like, after he uses the washroom, what he's supposed to do, and how he's supposed to wear his dress and come after finishing his toileting needs. And then we also taught him about neat grooming values like dressing or combing his hair, and then applying a deo in his arms, under his underarms, and how to button a shirt or wear his own shoes and pants. So this also instilled confidence in our child, and he realized that what others can do, I am also in a position to do. And in this process, we also started to teach our child about good moral values like discipline and punctuality, caring, sharing, and then maintaining his own school books. And we taught him that participation is more important than winning or losing. These had a good impact on him. As a parent, I also realized that teaching a child a form of art or a sports is also very important. And they say that in Tamil that Anjula Valiyadu, Ambadla Valiyadu, in the sense, what a child learns at 5 is not possible for him to learn when he is grown up at 50 years or something. So, Nala, um, about sports, these sports are an art also. It helps autistic children manage their emotions well. In detail about food, and how sports, and how other activities benefit an autistic child, I'll be sharing in my subsequent podcast. What are the positives I learned through this journey? The very first thing, I started to trust myself and my inner strength, and I realized that I had the courage and the maturity to handle all the questions and the day-to-day challenges that was thrown at me. The next one was in terms of decision making. I was never in a haste to take any decision, or others could not have an influence on my decision. I always felt that as a parent, or maximum my husband and I as a couple, we should analyze the pros and cons and what is the impact the decision has on our child and on us. And the most important thing, as I told you, we stop comparing our child with any other child on the normal, who's normal, and also on the autism spectrum. And we slowly started to teach our child to communicate his needs through keywords or action. What are the points which parents should ponder? I feel. For example, the first thing is the time and the money you're investing on the child. Time, in the sense, there'll be a lot of repeated efforts, and a child is not going to understand easily what a normal child understands. And the method of teaching is also not going to be straight. He or she needs to be the reply to a question need not be just one way for an autistic child. You need to make them understand the concept step by step, why you're doing it, start giving real life examples for the child to understand the process and give the output. So the time and the efforts that they're going to invest in a child is going to be 10x or 20x time the more. And we started looking at the best educational system. We started to look at the best educational system, and we chose options where inclusive schooling is suggested for our child. That means we would like to have a child in the normal schooling sector, but with portions or syllabus that are restricted to his levels. And We also realize that acceptance of special children and their families without constant advocacy is also essential because, as I had mentioned, the decisions we should be able to take independently. We should not depend because I realize that our decisions should not be influenced by other. Whether it is right or wrong, we should be able to do on our own so that the consequences and the impacts we own the responsibility for it. And I had mentioned earlier, financial commitment is going to be huge on us in terms of the child's therapy classes, the treatments, etc. And also, what we need to understand here is a dual income is very difficult. It's mostly going to be like one parent has to give up the job, and that's mostly going to be the mothers in most of the cases. So they need to live with one income, or the other person needs to take a part-time job or a job that which has reduced work hours where they can only like spend 4 or 5 hours, when the child is going to school or something. That 8 hours of working is not possible. Or if the husband is going to work, he may have to take an extra job in the weekend or something where you can support the child's treatments and the medical expenses. So finances are not going to be like before, and this differs from case to case based on the child's health issues. At last, I would like to conclude by saying that autism doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a parent who never gives up their child to ensure a safe, happy, and independent living for them. And to be honest with all of you, this motherhood journey of mine has been a very transformative experience, a journey filled with profound challenges, commitment, unwavering dedication, and respect towards my child. And I also realized that how much of self respect is important for me and my family in this process. And everything at the end of the day was done with a lot of unconditional love and nothing in return. Because for me, my child and his progress or his development is the most important, which cannot be equated with any other thing. So I hope these insights or my thoughts on this topic has given a different perspective to parents and especially to mothers. And let's not think like we cannot do it. We all have some strength, and above all, we have the love towards our child, which is going to keep us pushing. And like I had mentioned in my third podcast in the parenting tips, let us not hesitate to ask help with our near family members or friends whom we trust, as some days can be very demanding for us or our child. So, look, always feel free to ask for help if you think you require. And the best option first would be your spouse, followed by a sibling or parent, because they are also not going to be judgmental about you or your child. So, let's all stand up bravely and try to face the challenges that come across our way and discover ourselves and our strength and transform ourselves into a better one. Thank you all.